Hello, fellow football connoisseurs. I hope you're all doing very well today on this fantastic Sunday afternoon. We have some news regarding the manager race for Chelsea. We have a new frontrunner in the race, of course. We've had names like Kieran McKenna, Enzo Maresca, the Leicester manager linked to us, Thomas Frank, obviously. And then today we had the news regarding Roberto De Zerbi. I'll get into that in just a minute. We also have some news regarding the Air Jordan deal, as yesterday's events in the FA Cup final have removed Chelsea from their Europa League spot and have relegated them to the Europa Conference League, where we will be playing such teams that even I can't pronounce. But getting straight into the Roberto De Zerbi news, we have this coming in from Fabrizio Romano, reported by CFC Pice. Roberto De Zerbi has a cheap clause. It's now less than 10 million euros. Let's see what happens with the manager domino. De Zerbi is available for around 5 million compensation. That was again followed up by Ben Jacobs. And then we have this from Kieran Gill. Roberto De Zerbi is the fourth man on Chelsea's short list. Now, I have heard from other sources that Ruben Amorim is also on this list of managers being looked at by Chelsea, and tonight is the cup final, the Taça de Portugal, where Sporting are playing FC Porto. So it could be an interesting end to the game. Of course, we may have a relapse of the Eden Hazard situation that we saw at the Europa League final, of course, in 2019, when Chelsea absolutely walked through Arsenal. But getting straight back into Roberto De Zerbi news, how do I feel about it? Honestly, I think Chelsea and I think the owners have played their cards very well regarding this manager race. We have of course, we've heard names like Kieran McKenna, Enzo Maresca, and Thomas Frank being linked to the Chelsea job. Chelsea fans, of course, erupted with outrage online, and they would have seen that. And I think that was purposefully done. I think they understand the level of manager Chelsea fans desire and the level of manager in which Chelsea requires in order to become its best form. Of course, it requires managers who have a bite to them and who have won things and aren't that C-list, B-list level of manager. Do I think Roberto De Zerbi is an A-list manager? No. But compared to, as I said, Maresca, compared to Thomas Frank, and compared to Kieran McKenna, he is a level above. Is he Chelsea level though? That is the big question. We've seen this season what happens when he is given lesser tools to work with, and their form has been quite shocking for the majority of the season. I've in fact compared his Brighton side from last season to this season. Of course, when he took over from Graham Potter, they were incredibly successful. They had a very, very good run. Their midfield pivot of Alexis McAllister, Moises Caicedo was fantastic. They had fantastic attackers. Stats all round was just brilliant. They were playing amazing football. Everyone knew exactly what their roles were. Playing a very possession-branded style of football where every pass has a specific meaning. Every player's position is exactly where they need to be in order to make De Zerbi ball work, basically. I'll be getting into more information regarding his tactics and such. I was working on a Hoeneß breakdown. That is now off the table because Hoeneß will be staying at Stuttgart. But we do have the stats compared from last season to this season, of course. In the summer, he lost, as I said, McAllister. He lost big player in Moises Caicedo to Chelsea. He also lost Levi Colwill, who was a big part of his defensive structure at Brighton with his passing metrics last season, doing fairly well. As I said, his long-range passing, big part of De Zerbi's build-up play from the back. But we have this here, we have last season in blue, and we have this season in like a reddish pink. So as you can see, physicality, pressing, goals, attacking, counters, and defending is all better last season than it was this season. We're seeing big reductions in counters, we're seeing big reductions in goals and physicality. The only stat that's gone up is possession, and in my opinion, I think he's been forced to be even more possessive with the ball and a bit less, not lazy with attacks, but a bit less guns-ho when thinking about initiating attacks, and so that's why maybe the possession stat is maybe higher, whereas before he may be a bit more confident and allowing his attackers to make that that extra run, go on that extra dribble with the ball, because he does have that midfield partnership of not Enzo Fernandez, it might be Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo soon, but he did have that midfield partnership of Alexis McAllister and Moises Caicedo to fall back on, and of course that nice defence with Levi Colwill in there. In terms of how I think he's shape up with this side, again, I'm going to be going into far more detail in my detailed breakdown for De Zerbi and Chelsea, but I do think he'd do fairly well. One thing I do worry about is not his one-dimensionalism, is that even a word? But his lack of plan B, and I think this has been spoken about a number of times by other Chelsea accounts, that when things don't go his way, he doesn't really adjust. He just keeps playing the way he does, and he's very stubborn in his tactics. Where we have, struggled this season under Pochettino, arguably it is down to the fact that there was no real tactic to fall back on. At least with De Zerbi, would have a very rigid style of play. I'm about to say similarly to Sarri ball. Not similarly to Sarri ball, but in the sense that when it doesn't work, he keeps going with it. He doesn't really like to stray away from what he knows works, and in himself, he feels that he believes can work for this side. So maybe that is something that this side can really pick up from. And De Zerbi, compared to Pochettino, he's an incredibly far more technical manager, whereas Poch was a bit more of a transitional, free-flowing in the attack, high press kind of manager. De Zerbi's a lot more of a controlled, tempo-setting, lovely passing kind of coach who likes teams to hit him with attacks, and then he exploits the space left by their pressing nature in order to attack and progress the ball up the field. Again, if I had to compare him to a UFC fighter, I say his tactics are a lot like Israel Adesanya. It's been incredibly successful in the past, but when you do come up against someone like, Sean Strickland, or you do come up against someone like a Jan Blachowicz, sometimes things don't work out. But it can be very effective against other fighters, like Paulo Costa. You know what I'm trying to say? If you guys watch UFC, or you watch MMA, or you know anything about UFC, then you know the kind of thing I'm talking about. He's a very counter-attacking kind of fighter, and I think that is Robert De Zerbi's football to a T. He's a very counter-attacking fighter. He waits for his opponent to make the first move before reacting to it and get to the better of them. So I do think De Zerbi could be a good option for Chelsea. Is he my number one option? No, my number one option is, of course, Julian Nagelsmann. Praise be with him. He's not dead, obviously. He's just with Germany. But that's never going to happen unless we come to 2026. He wins the World Cup with Germany and he decides, you know what, I'm going to take over that Chelsea job. But we'll find out in 2 years' time. Probably not going to happen, unfortunately. Sad times for us. I am, obviously, as I said, a big admirer of Ruben Amorim. I thought it was later on tonight. It's actually in 30 minutes as of the time I'm recording. 5:15. You can watch it on... Well, you can't watch it in the UK, but I'm sure you'll find some way to watch it, let's be honest. It'll be an interesting showing. Again, I'm looking forward to that match. Ruben Amorim is my number one pick. I just think that right now, Chelsea needs a manager who has shown that he is able to win league titles, win cup finals, get his team into those winning positions. As I said, he won them. He won Sporting their first league title in 19 years. It was a league dominated by Benfica and by Porto. He ended that streak. He brought through fantastic young players. Diamonde, he's brought through Ugarte, he's brought through, and it was very nearly linked, very nearly joined Chelsea last summer, if you guys remember correctly, and then PSG came in, offered him 500 billion a week, and we were blown out of the water. So, but yeah, I do really like Ruben Amorim. If I had to pick one between De Zerbi and Amorim, I would, of course, go with Ruben Amorim, but I think De Zerbi can do wonders with this team. We just need to pray it works. Give him an awesome up front, someone who can really get on the end of the chances, and I think we could be fairly well off with De Zerbi at Chelsea. But it does bring into question Chelsea's recent recruitment strategy. Of course, I think when the owners took over, they spoke about how Chelsea was poorly run on the business side and the footballing side, but that doesn't really add up to what they've done since they've come in. I mean, CFC Daily put this out, and I have to wholeheartedly agree with it. Buying Sanchez for £25 million because he got dropped by De Zerbi, to then hire De Zerbi while Sanchez has spent the majority of the season on the sideline. Great use of resources and planning. That £25 million could have been used used towards getting a Bento, or it could have been used towards getting a Diogo Costa or a Mike Mainan. There was far better use for that money than using it to buy Sanchez, unless there was some kind of agreement with Brighton, like, we'll only sell you Caicedo if you also buy Sanchez, in which case we're stupid. But again, the goalkeeper situation, it will be looked at in the summer. My two big names for that position would of course be Bento Krepski and of course Diogo Costa of Porto, who is in fact starting tonight. But to wrap up today's video, I'm going to be talking about Chelsea's loss of the Air Jordan deal. Of course, it was something I was very excited for, and it does look like Chelsea will not be playing in the Europa League next season. We will be playing against teams like Slovan Bratislava, Sheriff Tiraspol, Hijack Split, the New Saints from Wales, Kelty from Slovenia, a Polish team that if I tried to pronounce that, my table would start levitating. Bromby. Actually, Bromby, that rings a bell. Bromby. I think, if I remember correctly, Rasmus Højlund went on loan in Bromby. Am I correct? I'm just going to Google that, because if I am correct, that is some fantastic football knowledge from me. Oh, yes. Yes, he was. He was on loan at Bromby from between 2012 to 2017 on a free transfer with the Bromby Youth before going to the FCK Youth in Copenhagen, then Sturm Graz, Atalanta, and then Manchester United. But all the way back then, 2012, well done me. I did, of course, do a video on him ages ago, but that just rang a bell. Random. But yeah, Chelsea will not be playing against the cream of the crop next season. We do have some qualifying games before we even get to play in the Conference League, which is just a bit ridiculous. We have the official timeline for the Conference League next season from CFC Daily here. On the 5th of August, we have the playoff draw, 22nd of August, playoff first leg, 29th of August, playoff second leg, 30th of August, group stage draw. Then we got round 1, 3rd of October, round 2, 24th of October, round 3, 7th of November, round 4, 28th of November, round 5, 12th of December, 19th December is round 6, and then the final is the 28th of May 2025 in Poland. But as I said, Chelsea have lost out on the Air Jordan deal. No Jordan deal for Chelsea or Spurs next season. That's coming in from Lou Class. According to sources, the main goal of the Jordan brand was the Champions League. Chelsea are in a playoff for the Europa Conference League. I am devastated. We are missing out on beautiful kits and a massive chunk of money to help us get through these profit and sustainability hitches that are facing Chelsea. But Conference League football next season for Chelsea, potentially being managed under Roberto De Zerbi. Let me know your thoughts regarding the manager. Do you think De Zerbi will do well at Chelsea? Would you take either De Zerbi or Amorim? Who is your pick between those two? Let me know your thoughts regarding Chelsea's failure to qualify for the Europa League. Is it Pochettino's fault? In my opinion, yes it is. It is not Man City's, it's not United's fault. We need to take destiny into our own hands. We need to beat the likes of 10 men Burnley with no manager. We need to beat the likes of Sheffield United, Brentford, Wolves. These games are the ones that have come back to bite us. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. I've been The Quick Take, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.